I'll work 3 jobs if that's what it takes to make that happen. She said, done.
Just kind of walking into it eyes wide open, knowing that your business isn't perfect.
You don't have to make all the mistakes yourself, right? You can hire people who have done this before. A good executive team they're incredible.
Welcome to Money Mavericks, the podcast where we explore the dynamic world of finance, investment, and entrepreneurship.
I'm Kirk Drake.
And I'm Daryl Hicks. Together, we're here to bring you the latest insights, expert opinions from the trailblazers who are redefining success in the financial world.
I had a really good CFO and a really good CTO that was a former interrogator in the Army. So, trust me, he was going to find everything. And so these two guys are constantly coming at me and telling me why this is a bad deal, right? It's not. And it's my job to go, can I live with this problem? Can I fix this problem? Balance. So we uncovered those things. Rarely did we find something after the fact that we didn't already know was going to be an issue.
Yeah, exactly. Just kind of walking into it eyes wide open, knowing that your business isn't perfect. You know that their business isn't perfect either, and there's going to be surprises, and that integration piece, right? Like, it's challenging enough to get through the deal, but the integration of the two together and all the surprises you're going to get afterwards, just knowing that, I think budgeting for that in your mind, even just budgeting the energy and the emotional drain and everything that's going to be required is a really important thing. I love too what you talked about, the power of transparency and vulnerability, which I think is such a great litmus test for whether it's going to be a great partnership. But people are willing to come and lay all their cards on the table and say, hey, can we get a deal done here? Because I see these problems and there's these issues here, but this is what it's going to take. I think that's a really powerful takeaway as well.
And I always found it, not that I'm not trying to be transparent the whole time. Try to be, I find that especially if you're talking about a first time entrepreneur, this is their baby. And so I find that the first thing you want to do is to go connect with them. They're giving their child up to you for adoption. They spent their whole life doing this thing. So they want it to be in good hands. They have connections to their employees that they care about. So that's the first step is I've got to connect. I've got to have this sense of you are going to trust me to take care of your child. So it's kind of that first thing. And then we tend to get into, diligence and what have you. And there's, like I was saying before, there's always this moment where it's just, there's something comes up, something we're expecting, something they weren't expecting, whatever it is. And it's at that moment when you have this opportunity to go, look, entrepreneur, forget the attorneys, forget the bankers, we get deals done. That's what we do. That's not their job. Their job is to cross the T's and dot the I's and, work out the Excel. It's our job to go solve problems. Here, let's do it.
Yeah. The best acquisitions, I think, they're predicated upon the relationship that's built between the founders and having a shared vision. So not at all surprised to see that either. So, and this whole idea of just showing up, I think that's also that manifests itself in all kinds of different parts of your story. And that's one of my, you and I've talked about this before, my favorite people are the ones who say yes to life. That's and right. They just jump. You came to hang out with us in Park City for a little ski trip, and I threw the invitation out to a few people, but Eli's one of the few people who was like, I'm in for that. Heck yes. Let me move some stuff around. We're going to go make that happen. And we had such a good time.
I find that the events and the things in my life that I were like, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to get so much out of this and so many good connections and what have you. I go to those things and they just fall flat. And then all the best things that are happened to me are like, why am I doing this? What sense does this make? And then I go and I meet somebody or I learn something or there's opportunity that comes out of it that just changes my life,
Yeah. I think to have the patience to and the willingness, maybe it's an abundance mindset, like a growth mindset, the glass half full mindset where you're walking in, and also with the humility to say what can I learn from people here? Or just at least being open to it, right? Being like the gold panners back in the day. It's they're not focused on the 99.9% of silt that's going through the pan. They're just all excited about the gold nuggets, right? And maximizing that. So
yeah,
awesome.
it comes down to odds, right? You there's only, so much of a chance that you're something good is going to happen, and you can't change that. What you can do is change
Mhm.
the number of events.
Yeah. And I think, look, taking the time to put yourself in a target rich environment as well. Like you and I are both in YPO, and that was how we started our friendship, was meeting through YPO in a technology forum. And YPO is a very target rich environment for high quality collisions and interactions, right? So, you know,
Humbling.
yeah, yeah, exactly. One other thing that I wanted to ask you about, you helped me a lot as I was going through, funding rounds in my business, especially as we were leveling up and getting into like larger transactions and working with larger partners. You just had a tremendous amount of wisdom to share with me, and you were very generous in sharing it, which I think is another theme of like entrepreneurs. They're often way more willing to help one another out and share. So don't be shy to ask, kind of thing. But what surprised you the most during the process of raising, private equity capital in your business?
The value of a good banker, like the good ones that hustle. And there's plenty that don't, right? So you got to make sure you find a good one. You find a good one that'll hustle and do that. It just significantly increases the value. I mean, unless you've
Mm,
done this a number of times. I mean, I've got quite a bit of real estate, and I don't need a real estate agent. I have bought and sold real estate without a real estate agent, but I'll basically almost always use one, right? Because this is what they do every day. Like how many businesses are you and I gonna buy or sell in our lifetime, Daryl?
mhm,
It's it's not gonna be a huge number, I don't think. But these
mhm.
guys are doing dozens a year, if not more. Like, why would you not want that person sort of in your corner that's seen that stuff before?
Yeah, there's a tremendous asymmetry in the amount of knowledge when you're dealing with private equity. They're doing dozens of transactions a year. That's their business, is to be on the buy side, buying businesses, deploying capital into them. You as a founder on the sell side, how many of those at bats are you going to have? Like you just have this massive unfair advantage. And so, and when you say banker, just to clarify for the audience, an investment banker is this very special kind of banker. I love your analogy of real estate because that's how I describe investment bankers. An investment banker is a real estate agent for your business. So it's their job to come in and build a sim for your business, put together a data room for your business to make it, to really showcase the strengths and help to create context around your weaknesses, and go out and build a market, build a market of potential investors or acquirers for your business, just like as if you were selling a house. So a really, really good banker helps to solve that asymmetry problem, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it is. And it's very challenging too, especially the smaller you get with a business, because you're a small business where this is your first time, and you go talk to a couple of business brokers or business bankers, like, you're going to go with the one that tells you your business is worth the most, right?
Yes, unfortunately.
And that is the wrong approach. What you want to do is go with the person who's going to work the hardest for you, right? That is
Mm,
going to tell you the truth, that is going to prep your business for sale, that's going to spend the time up front getting your sim right and telling you you better go fix that thing before you ever go to market. Like that's a good business broker, a good banker, somebody that
mm.
knows this is going to be a problem.
Do the landscaping in the backyard, do
Yes.
the beautification, paint
Yes.
these particular shutters, like, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Stage the house with this, clean up this clutter. Like, yes,
Yeah.
huge, very, very, very invaluable.
So the power and value of a banker. It's that's amazing. I have never used a banker yet. I have, obviously, like once you have a business that's raised VC capital or private equity, there's like tons of bankers that are knocking on your door and they're prospecting and they're trying to convince you why you're the most beautiful, shiny, unique little snowflake in the world and they're the perfect one to work with you. I think talking to a few of, even of some of our mutual friends, I think on the sell side, when you're selling your business outright, can't see any reason why you would ever not use a banker
Yeah.
in that case. I mean, of course there's going to be exceptions to prove the rule, but the stakes are so high and usually the dollars are so significant that are really getting that right and getting the absolute maximum value. And there are bankers out there, like, one of our mutual friends said that, by working with the banker that he was working with, I think it was Raymond James, he got like easily 1 to 2x higher multiple on his revenues just because of the banker. He was convinced of that, because they did such a good job of
Well,
creating a market, but also the way they presented the business.
I mean, PE firms love to brag about how many deals they get, off market.
Hmm.
Well, why do you think that's a big deal? And then, I mean,
Exactly, because typically that's where they're getting a better deal, right?
yeah,
Because they're not dealing with someone as sophisticated.
yeah. I mean, and when you're sponsor backed, right, VC or PE, you do have some folks in your corner that can really help you with that process, right? So that does sort of change the calculus a little bit. But
Hmm.
I mean, especially if you're bootstrapped and this is your first time to go out for a raise, you need professional help, I think.
On Money Mavericks, we don't just talk about making money. We explore the innovative strategies and bold decisions that drive real change. Whether you're an experienced investor, a budding entrepreneur, or just someone looking to make smarter financial choices, we've got something for you.
Every week, we're going to sit down with industry leaders, visionaries, and mavericks who share their journeys, challenges, and breakthroughs, from contrarian views on market trends to the secrets behind building a successful startup. You get an inside look at what it takes to thrive in today's economy.
And we promise to keep it real, engaging, and most importantly, actionable. No jargon, no fluff. Just straightforward conversations that you can apply to your own financial journey.
So get ready to challenge your thinking, expand your knowledge, and take control of your financial future. This is Money Mavericks,
where we turn financial dreams into realities and mavericks into legends.
I would agree with you. A couple other themes I wanted to tap into here. One of the things that I really appreciate about you as a founder and serial entrepreneur is that you're also a family man and you've got really strong integrity and great personal values. How do you balance, like, clearly, like founders, entrepreneurs, whether they're born with it or they acquire it, they have a certain amount of drive and passion, risk tolerance, ambition, right? They're very, very driven. A lot of times they're sacrificing family, they're sacrificing relationships, they're sacrificing health. Sometimes they're even sacrificing their integrity. How do you balance the ambition that you clearly have and this entrepreneurial drive with maintaining, personal values and relationships?
Grace, Daryl, I'm incredibly blessed. So I married this wonderful woman very young. And we had a conversation very early on, and she said, I'd really like to be able to stay home and raise our kids. We ended up homeschooling our kids for a good bit of the time. And I said, I really want that too. And I'll work 3 jobs if that's what it takes to make that happen. She said, done. And so so I went to work and she really supported me along the way. And we've got a really tight knit family. And one of the things that we did, I went to school for way too long and a lot of different things that pulled me away from the family, but we really got into cooking together. And
Mm.
I might only have 2 hours a night to actually spend, but I was going to spend, 45 minutes, an hour in the kitchen with her cooking. And then we were going to sit down as a family and eat together. And I think that connection really, really helped.
Mm. That's something that I hear super commonly. I know it's really important in my family too. Like, family dinner together, it doesn't matter what's going on at work, what kind of fires are happening, the barn is burning down or whatever. Like, and I've come to like even really just enjoy that time and know that I have that respite. Even if right after work or right after dinner, I'm gonna have to go back in and get back to work and really put my nose down into something, just knowing that I've got that time to sit down with the family every night whenever I'm in town is huge. I love that you keyed in on that as a routine, as an investment into the family.
Yeah. And periodically my wife and I would take vacations together, just the two of us, without
Mm.
some of the kids too, but just the two of us really go unplug, go find me a beach somewhere or a pool somewhere. And let's just hang for a bit and let's let all of this stuff go. I think that really carried me along.
I love that. Like, my wife Natasha and I, we kind of stumbled into that accidentally on purpose as well. It turns out that one of the most important trade shows in my industry in financial services every year was a conference that was happening in Vegas, and it happened in October, and our wedding anniversary is in October. And like every other year, it would often conflict exactly with our wedding anniversary. And it was like creating a little bit of acrimony. And again, like you, I got a wife who's just an incredible partner and super supportive and a trooper. And so we'd have our anniversary celebration early or we'd have a little bit late. But at one point, about 12 years ago, I just started saying to her, why don't you come with me? We'll fly my parents in, or your parents can come take care of the kids. Let's just go, just the two of us. I got to go to this conference. We'll fly into Vegas a few days early. We'll have 2, 3 days, just the two of us, staying in a really nice hotel, going to really great shows, going to really great restaurants, having like, a proper like anniversary celebration trip, just the two of us. And then, I'll have to go to this conference for a couple days and you can go shopping because she loves outlet shopping. She's super thrifty, right? So, but that tradition every year of like we look forward to it so much, like just the two of us. As soon as the kids were old enough, right, that we could go have that time together, absolute game changer. But I think it's the theme of like caring enough and investing and knowing that even when things are crazy, there's certain little routines, daily, annually, quarterly, like, this cadence of like connective tissue that keeps you guys in sync together. Would you agree with that?
For sure. For sure. And I mean, it's a grind, but it's her business too. She has passion too, right? Like this, and my kids, when they're both grown out of college now, but they worked in the business. My daughter was in marketing. My son learned to code, and we put him to work as junior developer interns, actually coding for us now. So there's places for them to kind of plug in and learn about it. We watch Shark Tank together.
Love it. One last question I'd love to ask you. Obviously, you've learned a lot on your journey. You talked about how some of the acquisitions that you'd made were like maybe they were a single, maybe they turned out to be a dud. Some of them were really accretive. Private equity, there was challenges in the business as well, and ended up having to like split the company apart, which is still like a good outcome in a really tough situation. But if you were starting over today, if you got to go in a, time travel was a real thing and you could go back and talk with yourself when you were just starting your journey, knowing everything that you know now, what do you think you would do differently?
There's three really strong lessons. Like the first one is just relax. It's going to work out. Like you're a problem solver. You're going to have problems, and somewhere or another things tend to work out. You'll find a way through. Just keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, listen for the things that other people don't hear, and the opportunities are just all around you. When I do it now and go through challenges now, I don't feel the same stress and pressures I did before. Number two, like you don't have to make all the mistakes yourself, right? You can hire people who have done this before. A good executive team they're incredible. They're good ones. They just take so much work off of you, and they're so much better at it. If you are I'm gonna say like as a good CEO, you're not good at anything. Every job that you're doing, there's somebody that does that job, and they do it way better than you. And the sooner you can get them in, the better your life is going to be. And then the last one is like the money doesn't actually matter that much, right? They're all like, it's not about the money. And the money's nice. Money creates, freedom and opportunity and lets you do some things and help people and what have you. But my goodness, like not a lot of people get to do what we do. Like find a way. And I'm still learning this one. Find a way to like enjoy that ride, because someday that ride's going to be over. And this is what we do. It's going to be a very different life when that is over.
Yeah. It's interesting that you touch on that. I've got this thesis that I keep coming back to is that, I say like a man needs a mission, like a woman needs a mission too, when she's a leader in business, but a man needs a mission. And it's been fascinating to talk with buddies of mine who've exited out of their companies, and they have this analogy of like, calling plays from the sidelines versus being on the field of play.
Right.
And a couple of them that have been like coaching, advising, investing, still kind of like in the game, but calling plays from the sidelines, talk about the temptation to get back on the field of play. And, you're getting your teeth bloodied and knocked in when you're out there. Like it is not for the faint of heart. You're talking about
everybody pats right back in. With
I know. It's what I was thinking about. It's like, really? And he's like, yeah. He's like, he can't help himself. What did he spend? Like a year? Not even a year out on the sidelines. And he's like, they sucked him right back in and they put an incredible comp package in front of them. And he's like, well, if you're willing to give me that. And I'm like, really? You're going to sign up for this all over again after the, like this. And he had a very significant cash out as well, you know? So it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's about playing the game and being and having that drive to get out there. And there's a lot of joy in that game. I mean, that's what really lights me up is it's the opportunity to test myself against the market and see, can I rise to the challenge? And can I build a team around me? I love that you called out, by the way, a really good executive team. I don't know that I agree that the CEO does nothing. I think what the CEO does is takes the risk tolerance and has the vision and is the architect.
Yeah.
And it's hard to quantify the value of sometimes when you're in that role. You're looking at all the work that's being done by all the people around you. And sometimes you even have like a little sense of like, oh man, like maybe there's some imposter syndrome and stuff like that. But I've come to appreciate that it is a really critical, without the architect, without the visionary, who's willing to go lay it on the line and take the risk, the whole thing doesn't exist.
Yeah,
there is no business.
Sometimes I think we don't maybe get it, just like what that means. I thought that like anybody could do this. And it's not like we're superhuman or something like that. It's just that for most people, they're like risk and that gut wrenching thing that goes all the time. It's just, they're just like, no, I don't want that. And I respect that. I understand because
it is insanely tough. And by the way, the vast majority of businesses fail.
Right.
The vast majority, right? Companies like, you know, serial entrepreneurs who have more wins than losses. You and I both have losses. And like, I've had some epic flame outs, like, you know, just watching millions of dollars getting lit on fire. And it made me literally want to puke every day for like weeks on end. And the apologies to the investors and the advisors and the team, like it is not easy to go through that. But the serial entrepreneurs that have had more wins than losses, like it is truly rarefied air. You got to understand, like the default is death, which that's hyperbole. No one's actually going to die, right?
I think I shut down 4 or 5 like side hustle businesses before finally found like, oh, this is how it works. I get it now. That's interesting.
Yeah. And I think it's funny, like even one of the lessons that you said, the very first one that you said that you'd go back and tell yourself is like, it's all going to work out, relax, which was also a theme that came out earlier in your story where it's like you talked about a certain point in the business where you're like, it's like, you know, no one's going to die. It's going to work out. You know, you've got this conviction around it. Like you can always go back and like take a job job again if that's really what's required. Like
anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah, I know. Or for better or for worse, we are unemployable now. But yeah. But anyway, buddy, this has been an absolutely fascinating and super fun conversation, as I knew it would be. We're kind of coming up on time. Any kind of closing thoughts or remarks? We talked about a lot of different themes here, you know, the value of transparency and vulnerability. Actually, we didn't talk a ton about like, you know, money isn't that big of a deal. But is there any kind of themes that you want to pull on just a little bit before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think it is that sense of it doesn't matter how much money you exit for, you can find a way to spend it all, right?
Mm.
And that won't bring you any more satisfaction than a job well done. You know, there's nothing that I enjoy more than hearing people talk about how their life is so much better because of what we do for them. Like I've got a video of these 2 counselors who were accustomed to working kind of all summer. And this is like June, and we had accomplished what they typically spend all summer. And there's this kind of point where you push the button and it runs the final step. And they're kind of going, you're going to push it? No, you push. No, you push. Oh, okay, I'll push. And they hit it and they wait. And then boom, this number comes out and they lose it. They're jumping up and down, screaming and hollering like they won the national championship or something. It's like, what are they celebrating? They're going to the beach for the summer, you know? And these are people who deserve to get some time to go, recover. Like, to me, that's what it's about. But, if you wake up every day and go, I have a real why and a real purpose, and money's just something that happens because of it, that's a life well lived.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it can seem trite to someone who hasn't been there and hasn't done it. I think that, but there's a lot of data on this, so some really compelling literature as well. Like, once you get to a certain threshold of income where, all your basic expenses are easily cared for, you get out on a couple of vacations, your kids are going to the schools that you want to, and that number varies a little bit depending on what area you live in, but it's not as big of a number as you think. It's a number that you can easily hit just in having like a mid-level or senior job within a firm. Everything above that, like, literally just it's more scoreboard and making you feel better about yourself, which is a dangerous game to play. Like, oh, I'm earning more money, therefore I must be more valuable in society, or look at me, and the status games that people tend to chase. And I think that it's really hard to understand that or learn that lesson until you've been on the other side looking back and you're like, that's it. That's all. Like, this didn't really change my life. And especially if you've made a lot of sacrifices and given up on a lot of things that really mean a lot to you, your health, your family, relationships, in order to get that, then it gets very, very hollow very quickly, which is why I loved a lot of the themes of this conversation. So
Yeah, the analogy is like brushing your teeth. You got to do a certain amount of it, or it just doesn't feel right. But you don't need to keep brushing them. Like, 17 times a day is not going to make you feel any better than 2, right?
yeah. That's a good analogy. I like that. Eli, this has been super fun. Really grateful that you came on and shared some of the deep wisdom that I know you've got in there. We could have chatted for easily another hour or more, but thanks a lot for coming along on the journey, buddy.
Hey, you're too gracious. It's always fun to hang out with you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks. See you next time.
See you.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Money Mavericks. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. And be sure to share this episode with someone who needs to hear it.
Stay connected with us on social media and visit our website for exclusive resources, episode transcripts, and more.
Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries, making smart moves, and turning your financial dreams into realities.
You've been listening to Money Mavericks, where Mavericks become legends.